Alice, let us come back to the point you started to talk about your entrance of the world of chronic disease. You talked that you started from cancer cases and then with HIV cases and then training in Tibetan learning studies. And after that, you started to tell us about your period of deep in chronic cases.
Yeah, they just come to you because they trust you. They sorry. I was very young homeopath when I started to treat multiple sclerosis, and the woman who came to me was in a wheelchair already for 8 years, and she trusted me so much that I should cure her, that I cured her. And that was also a very impressive experience. And the point was that I thought everybody was treating multiple sclerosis, but when I did the presentation in London for 400 or 500 people, no one treated multiple sclerosis because it was not allowed, and it was not allowed. And I showed this case that a woman came out of the wheelchair and was healed, and that was a very big exception. And from her, many people with multiple sclerosis came, and they had very good results. And what I also feel is that we need to connect with our patients. We need to really communicate with our patients from the heart. We need to connect. You know, connect means feel their bodies, and that they can share their feelings of their bodies with you, and that you react on it, that you are going in connection with it. And that is important to connect. And it's not just case taking by hearing the story. It's the story is not so important in homeopathy. The feeling you get from this person and the reaction on the feelings is part of the healing process in homeopathy, together with the remedy. So when remedy recognizes your feelings, and you recognize the feelings in the remedy and the patient, then you have the highest possibility for result.
Can you bring one or two examples, just to be more specific in cases? What do you mean by trusting that if patient comes to you? So
the point is that the patient is out of contact with a part of herself, and by the case taking you bring the patient in connection with that part of herself, and with that part of herself, and when you come in connection with that part of yourself, then the energy will become active again there in that part of your body. but when you have when you trust, when the patient trusts herself with this part of herself, then it becomes that the source is just wakening up of that person, and then the healing can much easier take place. And when you connect with that part of that patient, you help the patient to connect to that part also, and then it's easier for that person. So I think when we do research in the laboratory about homeopathy, we don't get this information, and the homeopathy healing is four-dimensional, and you begin where the blockage is. That's where you start, and that's where you take it most serious, what is happening with that person. And that's just that's the idea.
What are the ways to become a good homeopath?
To love, to bring you in the most highest compassion. And when you are in the highest possibility of compassion with the other one, that brings forth this universal source of healing. And you have to be very, very fluid, and to bring the love, to work with the love inside of you. So when you are tired in a consultation, you have not worked well enough with your compassion, and it will make you problematic for yourself, and also in danger, because you can take on the sick energy of people when you can't work with that. So the daily training is to work with your compassion. That is.
And I believe, I believe that one of the training for homeopaths is his participation in proving. You are well known in this field in homeopathy.
Yeah.
Tell us please about your love with provings, how it started, what was the first proving, why you decided to prove some remedy, and how it changed your life.
The point is, when you do one of the first provings, we did many, but one of the first provings was Lacrimana Mother's Milk in 1998. No, I think one of my first provings was Vipera, the snake. And I got very sick, and I couldn't move my legs anymore. It was in the Vipera, I healed something very deep inside of myself, very, very, very deep, and I didn't discover it. I didn't discover it like you don't discover it in 1 week, 2 weeks or something. You see it improving often only after a half a year or something. That's something which is very deep in you, a kind of belief or even disbelief. You see that is completely gone, and you feel more happy, and you realize it's often after half a year or a year that is gone. And that happened with the Vipera. And still I was not so enthusiastic about the provings. But when I did lacumanum, I discovered how I became a warmer person, and how every one of us felt a kind of love developed in our hearts, and how sexuality was changing. And it was interesting because lacumanum is a substance from your own body and is so full of information, and it's so big that it changes your life, and it changes your life completely in a way, and you start knowing yourself through the provings much more.
How did it change your life? This deep proving you are telling us about.
Again, that you feel more, you start to discover you are in this life, you live only a little part of your soul. Only a very little part. The word soul is a very difficult word. And it can be used too much. But to know something of your soul is very difficult. But in the proving, you discover more and more about yourself, and you are developing. You get also confronted with cruel sides of yourself and difficult sides of yourself. But when you continue titulating, you start to have, when you come to the higher levels of titulation, you start to have compassion for that part of yourself. And you start understanding that the universe, the big universe, so to say, not the earth, but the universe is full of compassion. And it's in that compassion, of course, you start to be receiving this kind of different ways of compassion. You start to discover and receive that. And when we did amniotic fluid, it showed the many levels of different levels of compassion in the amnio. And amnio is the time before you are born, when you are in the amnio. And before you are born, you are still very much in this oneness, and you are, as a young human being, you start being aware of the different forms of love. When you come out of the uterus, it is completely changed, because you start discovering the opposites, like your mother doesn't give you food when you need it. You have to wait to get your food, and then you get very hungry. And meaning that you can cry because your mother doesn't give you the food. And that is one of the beginnings of difficult experiences, and it's the beginning of sorrow. It's the beginning of, oh, there's not enough food for me. And that goes together with fear and anxiety. So that relates to mother's milk. It relates to that feeling, oh, that is not at all when you are in the uterus. In the amnio, that doesn't exist. So that are very interesting experiences, because you don't experience that in your brain, you experience that in your own self. And that is the biggest teachings, is to experience that in your body, in your heart, and not in the head. Now we are overloaded with information in the head, and that is one reason we have dementia, and to be overloaded in the head and not experiencing our feelings anymore. So in the Lacumanen we have very good teachings from, and it's very good result with dementia. Also oxytocin is very good, and yeah, so that is what you learn. In the snakes, for example, you learn something completely different, but it still is you. When you do a proving, half of the information, half of the experience, it relates to you. The other half relates to the substance, but the substance wakes that part in yourself up. And it brings you to a bigger me, or a bigger person, in a bigger persona. And the path is interesting. The path of development in homeopathy is very interesting, and we must be very grateful for so much experiences, and so much giving energies from the world around us, like the trees and the plants and the gemstones, and they make us. They are happy because we make them aware, and they are, and we are happy that we share the awareness. And to share the awareness with your patients makes you happy. So it's a privilege to help the other one in his or her difficulties. Also lately, not so very long, I understood that every patient comes to give you something. To give you something for yourself and for your persona. And that you are very, very pleased with that, because you develop yourself into extreme wisdom. So that that is my idea.
Mostly you are talking about trituration provings. It was almost like to participate and organize trituration proving, or you came to this field because you choose such C4 and other trituration provings?
Yeah, because I first did other provings. I did more Jeremy Share provings, Hahnemannian provings, but I find the trituration provings much more reliable. And when you do it in a group, there's coming a group resonance, which makes it, the group supports you enormously. And you start discovering there is nothing like double blind. There is something like resonation. You resonate together to a higher field, and then the field is revealed. And that is a complete, more reliable provings, in my opinion. But you must have the experience to have this this experience.
Should it be part of homeopathic education? Obligatory?
Exactly, it has to be. You cannot finish your studies before you've done. Otherwise, you are a homeopath here. And you treat people, and you have aggravations and problems with your patients, and you don't know where they are talking about because you didn't experience it yourself. That's not honest, and it's not justified. The remedies can work extremely deep, and you need deep experiences for yourself.
So actually, those people who are participating in proving, they have more tools to understand, to comprehend, and to
Of
feel
course,
the patient, and
yeah, and more compassion.
And more compassion, yeah, to do. Please tell me, please, what meetings with what homeopaths through your career influenced you the most?
The first person who influenced me in my education in 1982 was George Vitoukas. And George was a very good teacher, and he showed the emotional part of homeopathy very clear. He brought in the emotion into homeopathy, and that was very, very powerful. The spiritual, emotional part he brought in, and no one did that before 1980. So he was a very, very good teacher, and he was very lively and very much fun and joy, and he brought in the essence of homeopathy. The essences, that is the word which came from him. So he's the number one, and then I became part of an international group of homeopaths like Roger Morrison and Sankaran and Nandita and Jeremy and Michel Noland and Andreas Björndal, and so I met all these people in the teachings of George Vitoukas, and yeah, from there I basically studied whatever came along. I mean, but I think George was the number one person because he teaches also all the others which I mentioned. I had a Dutch teacher, Ab Straatman. He brought in homeopathy in 1979. He started a homeopathic school, and he was very good teacher in philosophy of homeopathy, and so very big homeopath in the Netherlands. So that was the beginning. I started to be a teacher myself in 1986 already, and I invited many teachers in Holland to teach, like Jane Kitchetti and Jeremy Scher and Divya Shabra, and they're all very good colleagues and friends of mine. And of course, we shared our experiences, and I learned from lots and lots and lots of people. I'm very, I feel very privileged with the time between 1980 and 2000, 20 years of beginning and developing homeopathy. Now I don't study anymore. I just experience homeopathy. I just see. I also work with the idea that every person who you meet has something good to tell you and to share with you and to heal with you, and that person is comes to you by the universe, the creation, is already when you are already in tune with the universe, it comes on your path and it's already there, and we often have our eyes closed for the path, and we have our eyes closed, and we need to open our eyes, and it comes. like the beauty of Corona, who is the intelligence of a bigger transformation from these dark places in the universe, which is bringing us a big message, and we starting to understand a little bit, and it's an evolutionary step we are making in this time, and that is coming. It is coming and becoming. So to become yourself, to become yourself, if you deeply trust, it will come to you, and you need to connect with that sources which are coming to you. So that's why we don't need to study so much. It's life is more about becoming aware.
So wonderful quote.
Yeah, and I'm studying now some ideas from the Chinese healing systems, from the base of acupuncture. And it's not, my idea is not to become an acupuncturist or something, but to understand where the knowledge is coming from. It's amazing how completely similar it is to homeopathy. And they use the needle, we use the remedy, but it's just amazing how all is one and all knowledge comes from one source. And it looks through our delusional state a bit different, this one or that one, but it's all, the deeper part of it is all the same. And what I discovered, maybe, I don't know, through the time, but we are in very privileged time with the corona also. Very privileged, and we have to wait and see and to observe, because we don't understand yet where we are all part of. So we have to be very silent and open, and yeah, open, and receive the developments with joy in our heart. And that is for some of us not easy, I know. But life, we have made life very difficult, because we wanted to be God. We wanted to control the world. And we wanted, by the science, we wanted to get control. And it's in a way a bit stupid, because it shows that you're not aware of the fact that maybe 1% or 1 promillage of the world we have under control. How many things of our own life we don't have under control? So many things. And so we see we have gone a very one-sided development. Very one-sided, very limited. While it looks very big, but it is very limited, because we have not, none of us in a way have realized that the corona could do what it had done in the last 4 or 5 months. No one has really realized it. That shows how little we know. That shows how very little we are aware of the future, by the way. And we tried to get it under control 100%, and now we are disappointed because something happened and we didn't have it under control because we still are so blind, and that interests me very, very much. It interests me.
Yeah, it seems that as much we are trying to take the situation under our control, as much the situation is ruling out of our control, actually. And
yeah, that's what we discover now, and yesterday was a program on television. They talked about the vaccination and who wanted to do vaccination and who don't want vaccination. And I didn't hear one person say, maybe I should say that. No one went inside themselves and said, let the corona solve its own problem. It creates the problem, and now it should also solve its own problem. So let me or let us be and just do nothing and just see and experience and see what it gives.
Unfortunately, most of the people try to do something hectically, intensively, and even with this vaccinations issue, you know, you can see lines in, I saw today in YouTube, a line in one of the cities of Russia to this car where you can get a vaccination. So you see a huge line of people, and they are voluntary, willing to be vaccinated. This is from one side. From another side, today, the Ministry of Education of Israel said that every child in Israel is going to receive vaccination against flu. Obligatory. So they try from one side to create a situation where the solution is like here, and from another side they push you, even those people who are not interested to do it. And of course we are in a very interesting and very dramatic time now, as you told. I want to ask you what this time was for you. The corona didn't stop yet, but for these 4, 5, 6 months, what are you discovering personal, if you can share?
I decided to be by myself and to be alone. And I did many patients on the FaceTime, and I had a very difficult patient who was on the intensive care, and I could not help this person. And then I did many things, and then I did a prayer one night for him because he was that night he was expected to die, and then I did the prayer, and the next morning he was better. And that for me was a very impressive experience because I did it out of despair, and it cured. And I don't know if I cured him with the prayer. It was just part of my soul told me that I woke up in the night and I didn't know what to do, and my soul told me, now the only thing you can do is pray, and I did. And the prayer changed the life, and the next morning they found out that he was better, and I was deeply impressed because what should I say? I was deeply impressed because I immediately knew I did it completely from my heart, and I did it in all purity without any expectation. And then I realized that that was also the way. Expectations are putting pressure inside yourself. You need to. We need to learn to be. You need to learn to just be and let the universe do its work. The creation do its work. And that's a very difficult thing when you learn too much, when you're too much in your head, when you are too much, in your, when you are too much in your brain. So that was a very nice gift for me. And then in the corona patients, I saw that they all were sick, not because of the corona, but of a deeper problem inside themselves. So that came out in the treatment.
So it's another opportunity.
Yeah. So we have done 1 hour. What is?
Yeah. I would like to conclude by one question. How you see homeopathy in future of homeopathy, or how you think it will be looked like?
It looks good when you do like me.
And those who want to know, they have to go to the beginning of the interview and to see it once more.
Yeah. To be just completely in the here and now, and to be in your confidence and strength, in your confidence, and trusting that the creation will do your complete learning experience here, and just completely trust it. And not copy Hahnemann, but copy yourself. And finding your healing qualities for yourself. Finding that and work with it. That is the base of power, and is the power base.
Alize Timmerman, thank you very, very much for this talk, and I hope it is not the last one. Thank you.
No, and can I also put it on my website? Is that possible?
Yes, for sure.
And I am very happy to send all kind of beautiful provings we did. Very well worked on provings. So
we have a new website. It's called Provings to the World, and we will be very happy to arrange all your provings there in a very nice form. We can do it, and people will be able to see all your work done before. So it will be our privilege.
Roma, can you send me invitation on the email for
Yes.
this website?
Yes.
Please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.